Online people, can you hear? You guys are direct online. They are indirect online. Huh. Okay. Hmm. So now pay attention. Yesterday we discussed hash code. Okay. So hash code means it is a unique identification number given by JVM to each and every object. And what is the job of that hash code? Used for searching operation in a collection. Okay. Whenever we have group of objects, okay, or else whenever JVM try to identify a particular object, it become very easy for them to identify this by using this unique number. Is everyone get my point? Confirm? Okay. And I guess yesterday I shown you one code also. Create an object, we try to whenever we create an object and we try to access any particular object, they will automatically invoke the hash code that it will not invoke, it will use that hash code. That all the things happen internally. We cannot see it. After taking that hash code, it will connect to that object and fetch the data. So it happens quickly. So the factorial this is different. Okay, so see guys, this is our yesterday's program. Observe neatly, everyone. This is our yesterday's program, which we developed for student class. Override toString to get the content present inside the object. Okay. Now, guys, here pay attention. Okay, so this is our yesterday program about hash code. Okay. Now tell me, is hash code is the address of object? No. Okay. Practical proof is we can override hash code also. Okay. We can override hash code also. That means if let's say there is some concern programmer is having, that concern is programmer don't like this hash code which given by JVM. Let's say I don't like this hash code. Okay, it's a unique, but is it in sequence? No. Let's say I want sequential hash code, one by one. Okay, best example is, say guys, think practically, if any student takes admission in a school, that operator, whoever the person get the student data, will that person have that much time? Hey, your roll number is 12, you are 13, you are 14, you are 15. Will it do like that? No. That fellow need to add the data, hash code automatically become roll number. Like that, they will do programming. Is everyone clear? That means I don't like this hash code, what given by JVM. I want my own hash code to the object. Getting my point? Okay. For that, we can override hash code. See. Hey. Okay, we can override hash code. See, and guys, here we will give return 1 2 3. Now, obviously 200% sure this is a wrong approach of overriding, because according to this, all students have same roll number. All objects have same hash code. See, all the people hash code is what? 1 2 3. Okay. So obviously it is an invalid way. Okay. So here we will write a point based on a requirement. Programmer can override hash code. Okay. During overriding of hash code, we have to take care this thing. What is that thing? Hash code must be unique. Correct? If every object hash code must be unique. And second thing, hash code must be in. Is everyone clear? These two things we have to take care. Then we will say the legal way of overriding hash code. Okay, proper way. Otherwise, you can override hash code like that also. Give 1 2 3. But that is the worst scenario. Because if that kind of overriding happens, just assume 500 students all have same roll number. I will say roll number 1 2 3 come, everyone will come. Then again, fastest search mechanism become worst search mechanism. Get the point? Okay. So, guys, note down this quickly. Okay, note down this program also. No need to write 3 3. Two object will get same hash code. So, in a correct way of overriding hash code. Is everyone joined here session through phone? Everyone done with the copy? Okay. So observe this. Observe this. Now, guys, obviously we have to override hash code, but not in this way. It should be proper way. It should be unique. It should be in sequence. But that code, anyhow, I will show you, guys. Now, I want to show you one relation. relation between hash code and toString. Okay, take this subheading. Relation between hash code and toString. Is everyone took the heading? Now don't write anything. Pay attention on your screen. You guys here. So now observe here what I will do. Same code. Okay, guys. I will remove this. I'll remove this. Okay, or else let's say I'll comment this. Okay, I'll remove this. Now tell me here I am printing what? Object. Now tell me in this code is I am overriding hash code? No. Is I am overriding toString? No. So everything object class implementation. Correct. We are getting this output. Yes or no? Okay. So here we will say toString output before overriding of hash code. Is everyone getting? toString output before overriding of hash code is this one. Okay. Something like demo toString package name dot class name something. Now let me override hash code. Now I am overriding. I hope you people got the changes. No. Here we are getting what? 7B. See, we are getting 7B. Apart from that, everything is same. Now, at least guys, are you getting my point? There is some relation between toString and hash code. In fact, I didn't change implementation of toString. I just changed hash code. Automatically, toString get affected. Okay. How guys? Because that unique number which you are getting now up to now 47 blah 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 EF something. Okay. That is nothing but hexadecimal form of hash code. What is that number? Hexadecimal form of hash code. Means internally, whenever if we didn't override toString, object class implementation of toString will work. With that implementation, toString internally invoke hash code method, get the hash code in integer, convert that integer into hexadecimal, print it. Is everyone get the point? Okay. Say we can this point 1 2 3. Well, we are aware how to convert decimal into hexadecimal. Okay. So 1 2 3. Let's go to Excel. Okay. So observe. What is my number? 1 2 3. Now 1 2 3 divide by 16. Guys, like this only, na? Correct. What will be the question? What will be the remainder? Tell me. Question, remainder. Okay, I got to know. I got to know. So 16 into, if we go 8, we are taking 128. What is our number? 123. So 16 into 7. 112. So 112. What is the difference? 11. Huh? Sure. 123. Huh? 123. 11. Okay. So quotient will be 7. Remainder will be 11. Next time 11 by 16. Now 11 divided by 16. Now obviously division is not possible. 16 zeros are 0. Remainder is, quotient is 0. Remainder is 11. Correct na? Hey, yes, no? Ah. So remainder is 11. So once we got a 0, okay, we have to stop this division. Because 16 7 the remainder is 11. So if we go in a reverse manner, 7 how it will calculate? 11 and 16 0. No, something we are missing, guys. 16 0. Wait, how we will convert into binary? What is the binary conversion? 123, or let's say easy number, let's say 15. 15 divided by 2. So quotient is 7. Remainder is 1. After that 7 by 2. Here 7 by 2. Here 3. Here 1. After that 3 by 2. Here 1. Here 1. Then 1 by 2. Here 0. Here 1. So obviously our binary conversion is 1 1 1 1. So similarly, if here 16 sevens are this, hey, here it should be 7 by 16. That is only I am thinking. 7 by 16, 16 zeros are 0 and remainder will be 7. Okay. So if we are doing 7 11 and it will always count from what? Bottom to top. So here 7 is 7, but 11 means hexadecimal form B. Okay, so that's the reason it becomes 7B. And we are getting here 7B. Is everyone clear with this? Understood what is the relation of hash code and toString? Okay. So now let me remove this. Let me go here. Here we will say basically the unique hexadecimal unique number the unique number which we will get in toString method is nothing but a hexadecimal form of hash code. Is everyone clear with this? Is nothing but a hexadecimal form of hash code. Write down this. Done with the copy? Note down program. Done, everyone? Okay. So now, guys, so this relation also, almost our hash code method is completed. Now, only thing is how to override to get unique and sequential number. Okay, guys, that I will show you here in a student class. Now, pay attention. Basically, as I told you, okay, let me make some changes. Every student will have name, roll number, gender. Okay. So let's say string gender I will add. Guys, everyone, pay attention on screen. If you know yesterday's example, I am carry forwarding that only. Okay. Now, roll number, as I told you, will user provide or it will be auto generate? It will be auto generate. So what we will do, remove this from here and give what? Gender. Okay. Now roll number we will deal later. So here we will add what? Gender equals to gender. Now let's say here we will give, right now all our member are male. So like this we will give. Okay. Now our concern is whenever we create object, hash code should generate automatically. Am I correct? Okay. So what we will do, we will create one more reference which is static in nature, because that number should be carried forward again and again. Correct? Like first student 101, second student 102, third student 103. It will be carried forward. So I am using static in, let's say we will say count equals to 100. So I am saying boss, by default from 100 start the roll number. From 100 start what? Roll number. So static in count equals to 100. And what we will do, guys, here we will override what? Hash code. Let me remove this. Here we will give return that's it, problem solved. Clear? Now see what will happen. Whenever you add first object, okay, here I will call hash code method. Okay. Now see how the execution will happen. It is very easy. You create one object, constructor invoke, name will be Ramesh, roll number will be output of hash code. What will be the output of hash code? Plus of count. So 101 become roll number. When you add second object, name will be Suresh, roll number is hash code. 101 plus 102 become hash code of Suresh, roll number of Suresh. That means unique also, sequential also. Number of object create, number of student added, that many number of roll number. Any confusion now? Okay. So if I run this, save, is it working? Hey, I guess gender we have to print in toString. So again plus, again what? \n. Guys, you have to practice this way of overriding toString. In future, you will need it many places. Okay. So here what? Gender. And here again gender. Problem solved. Come. Is it working? See, if you add fourth object, what will be the output? Name will be, let's say, something, roll number will be 104, and gender whatever it is. Everyone clear? So hash code unique and it is in sequence. Write down. Anirudh, if we want to generate roll number alphabetically, it's easy. Go for char and then do char plus plus. Deepak, count must be static. Otherwise, if it is non-static, every object will have an individual copy. And it will start from 100 only. So everyone's roll number become 101 only. We have to go with characters, Anirudh, and we have to increment it. Done with the copy? Everyone? Online people? No problem, Jita. That you will get from 100. That's it. Instead of 101. There is nothing in our head. Done? मजाक तो नहीं कर रहे मैंने एंटायर सेक्शन को super. It is like in like college days that so many big books are there. Out of that we will pick which is shortest. But seriously, how you manage? कॉफी नहीं मिला वो Two to 3 days, he used to say in our group, to his group, that I am eating this. देखो यार बाकी कुछ भी हो उसका कभी शॉर्टेज नहीं okay so this is end of what hash code Which is next method?
Equals.
Tell me quickly.
Equals.
Equals. Equals. Take third heading, guys. Third method. Take the heading from screen. Now, listen to me very carefully, everyone. First, we have to understand concept of this method. Equals. What kind of thought process you will have in your mind by listening? Equals, obviously, which will check equality. Now, equality of what? It will check equality of objects. What it will check? Equality of objects. Okay. Now, if we want equality of objects, okay, then any kind of equality will take place with the two object or one object. Obviously, two object. First object compare with second object. Here, how many objects I am passing? Where is second? Don't see like this. Yeah, I want answer from your end. Huh? Huh? No? Huh? Okay. See. Let's say I have assume I have one student object. I have another student object. Or else let's make it simple. I have one demo object. I have another demo object. Equals means what? Check whether first demo object is equal to second demo object or not. So obviously I will use equal method. But equal method expect how many objects? Only one. In a parenthesis, no, only one. But comparison happen with two objects. So where is second object? Hmm? Which same object? Demo object. Huh? You are giving the demo object plus name. Huh? It will search from the same object which is having another. No. Then if you write A equals A, then it will be always same only. Think carefully, low. See, as I am asking here, online people are so relaxed. No one is replying. Okay, anyhow, sir will expect from them. Huh. Online people, give some efforts to your fingers. Huh. And type the answer. Here, okay, you think till that I will write a point. So this method is used to check equality of two objects. And my question is, this method is accepting only one object, then where is second object of comparison? Who got answer? Then what is the benefit law? It is like exactly you are saying Sonia Gandhi give resignation to Sonia Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi refused that resignation and herself reinstated. Correct? No, same drama happened. Okay. She gave resignation to the head of Congress, which is she only. She did not accept it and she reinstated herself. Okay, so very minded person. Same kind of way you are saying. Sapan knows answer. No, Sapan. No, no, no. Dita, it's not object class. Okay. Can I give one hint? Answer is very simple, very basic. This is the hint. And third hint is you are doing that more than 500 times. You already done that. What happens to Smita? Huh? डूब तो वो एक बार कंफर्म कर लो, मर के डूबना है या डूब के मरना है? ओके हाँ how
When people tell you opinion is false, you will check with the meaning false or false.
it's the return type law. After equality we will get true or false. That is not the answer. Ah, listen. Answer is very simple. Okay. Very basic. Now what I am asking, give me the answer. Online people, you also. Offline people, you also. Public Boolean equals. Read that heading carefully. It is static method or non-static method? Non-static method. Non-static method always invoke on some object. D1 dot equals D2. So first object is that object who is calling. Second object is that object who is in method. Here, for example, observe, if we have demo D1 equals to new of demo, we have demo D2 equals to new of demo. You want to cross check these two objects equal or not. How you will write? Let's say SOP ln of D1 dot equals D2. Problem solved, na? When? When? But you didn't say to me. Your ultra decibel wave minimize here only. Huh. So here, who is first object? Who is calling the method? Who is second object? Which is exist in parenthesis. Get the point? So here D1 is first object who will invoke method. D2 is second object which exists in parenthesis. Note this. Everyone done? Confirm? What happens, Smita? Huh? See, if you offered me biryani right now, I will not say no. Huh? She will not eat, na? For you, it's veg. For me, I will just apply non over there. Anirudh, don't worry. This is just the beginning. Movie is still pending. He is saying, now he got why I am saying section 3 villain. Hmm. Okay. Done? Now. Now, listen here carefully. Now guys, obviously, now we came to know boss which is first object, which is second object. Now it will do the comparison. Okay. Now on this comparison, I have a one very interesting question. Okay. If we know this question, in automation our life become easier. Okay. So observe this. For that, let's go for pen. Now guys, assume I have a class demo, okay, and assume, let's say in a demo class I have x as 10, assume, okay, one number as 10. That's it, my class is over. Now guys, I will create two objects of this class. Okay, so I'll just copy paste, save my energy. So demo here, is everyone getting? So guys, I am creating two objects of this class and I am comparing this d1 dot equals d2. Officially inside JVM, we will have what? Heap area. Every object is in heap area only. So in a heap area, we will have object 1, we will have object 2. Okay. So this will be D1, this will be D1, this will be D2. Now D1 referred here, D2 referred here. What is the content in D1? X equals to 10. What is the content here? X equals to 10. Okay. Now guys, I have a question. I have two objects of demo class. Now tell me, these two objects are on same address or on different address? Different address. See, I said there is no way user can fetch the address. But internally, 200% sure there will be some address. Correct. So both the objects are on different address. So on address level, they are different. But on a content level, they are same. Whatever the content D1 is having, same content D2 is having. Is everyone clear? Now my concern is our equals method, which declared in object class. That method will do comparison of two objects on address level or on content level. Is everyone get the question? Okay. Here my concern is D1 dot equals D2 we are doing now. This is not a comparison of two data. It is a comparison of two objects. Okay. So one object compared with another object. So if that fellow check this comparison on address level, then it should false, because both are on exist in different address. If it is doing comparison on content level, means D1 object content is exactly same with D2 object content. It should return true. Is everyone getting my point? So our question is equals method as per object class perform content level comparison or address level comparison. What type of comparison expecting? Content level comparison. Okay, correct. Here, big twist. Now, guys. Here, let me create a class as demo. What I am having? X equals to 10. Now, here I will declare what? Main method. Demo D1 equals to new of demo. Demo D2 equal to new of demo. And what I am printing? D1 dot equals D2. Okay. And guys, if it is true, if it is true, if it is false, so guys, always remember this part. Object class equals method always perform address level comparison of two objects. Is everyone getting? Now, one basic question is there which has to be discussed. Not now. That will come tomorrow session. Why? Okay. Today's question is, on a natural level, you guys are not wrong. Anyone, any person, if you ask equals method, what it should compare? Was compare? Okay. Tell me, by doing address comparison, what is the benefit? On a very normal level, always we will expect content comparison. Check was one hotel data is exactly equal to second hotel data or not, or one user data is equal to another user data or not. So we always expect what? Content level comparison. Am I correct? Then why Java people do like this? That is different story. Real lacuna is Java people is a great astrologer. They will aware in which object user will keep which data. I am let's say I am comparing one student with another student. Student have name, gender, age, contact number, marks, everything. If name, gender is matching, contact number not matching, is it equal? No. That means if we want to check one object equal to another object, means all the fields of one object should compare with all the fields of another object. And is Java people will aware how many fields we will declare? No chance. That's the reason they give this headache to programmer. You override equals method, you do content level comparison. By itself, I will give address level comparison. Is it clear? Java people say it's your object, you are the owner of this, you make a program, you override equals. Is everyone getting? So By itself, object class equals method always perform address level comparison, and whenever programmer want content level comparison, we should override. If you notice, guys, everywhere runtime polymorphism. ToString override, hash code override, equals override. Still three yet to come. Got the point? Okay. So now I will give only one point here. Object class equals method. Object class equals method. Always perform address level comparison. Okay. So do one thing, guys. Note down this. Output is false. What is the growth? Upcasting is compulsory. But overriding is doing. It's like not 100%, but 70-80% it is runtime polymorphism only. Now, guys, do one thing. Take the pick. We will continue remaining part tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow our session will be at 5 or will be at 5:30. I will inform in automation class. Okay. So take the pick quickly. Hey, everyone, take the pick. This one also. Output is false. Done? Okay. So, fine, guys. See you tomorrow, everyone.